Okay, so welcome to Finding Your Way with Lori and Tanya. We are super excited to be recording our first episode today and excited to bring you along and kind of show you where we were and bring you along to where we are now. And, it wasn't long ago that we were in a place in our lives that we were miserable, right, Lori? I mean, literally waking up in the morning and counting the hours before we could go back to sleep. And we started a journey that we're super excited to show you guys about kind of how we got started. And then we just looked around and realized how amazing our lives are now and how much work we've done. And we've done so many different things along this journey that we were excited about sharing with other people. So our sole mission is to help people who were where we were, right? Just that stuck place, living every day with no real goal and dream to where we are now.
Yeah, and I remember it was only like 5 or 6 years ago, but I remember I had gotten to a place where there wasn't any looking forward to the next day. It had become so, you do the same thing every single day. It was like you're on the hamster wheel or the treadmill, like you hear people talk about. And our lives are so different now than when they were then, that I think we both have just felt a calling on our hearts to share. If anybody feels that way, we give you hope. We're going to actually give you some tools and some stories and things like that have worked for us because we feel that calling on our heart to do so.
Absolutely. And we've, along our journey, we have collected so many awesome people and learned from so many different mentors and people who really have just a variety of ways that they have bettered their lives and that they live in a better way, and tools and tricks that they use that we've tried. We've tried so many fun things that some worked, some didn't. And we've met so many amazing people that we are super excited to share with you guys.
Yeah, so I guess we should start from the beginning. Like, who are we? Who is this Lori and Tanya that's coming to you today?
So, Lori and I have been friends for a long time. We actually grew up in the same small town together. And we were friendly. We weren't good friends or close friends. And then after high school, we both went to Clemson University. Yeah, go Tigers. And really, over the course of those 4 years, ended up with the same group of roommates and living together, which was so much fun. And we really kind of got to know each other. And then, after graduation, life happens like it does for most of us.
Yeah. And so I'd say years went by where we maybe saw each other a couple of times a year, we'd talk on the phone every once in a while, but really weren't part of each other's daily lives, I'd say. Right. And then all of a sudden in 2015, it's just like the universe conspired to get us together. And I remember it so vividly because at the time, like, I had been promoted at work and was, doing better with my job and that kind of thing, but I was absolutely miserable. And I remember driving home from work and this song came on the radio. You know how songs can transport you to a different time and place. Well, this Hootie and the Blowfish song. So Hootie and the Blowfish was all the rage when we were in college, and we went to see them live a few times and that kind of thing, and just fun memories around that. And this Hootie and the Blowfish song came on, and I remember distinctly, like, I got transported back to Tanya's little red hatchback little POS car.
Yes, it was.
But we were so happy. It didn't matter. It was a POS car. We just were so excited to have wheels and transportation and to get where we wanted to go. And I remember that song coming on the radio and, us having a good time and everything. So I mentioned it to her. I was like, oh my gosh, this song just came on the radio. So I called her and I was like, it made me think of you. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Complete, just crickets. Like, I don't remember being in my car hearing that song. I'm like, well, God, I'm destroyed. Like, that's a big part of my memory, and you just destroyed me. But anyway, we just started talking after that, and that's when all the magic happened.
So Lori called me out of the blue. I was sitting at work. I had a new job, had gotten a monkey off my back for an old job that was very demanding. And I had started a new job. I think I was 6 or 9 months into it. And I was sitting at my desk, and Lori called me on my cell out of the blue. And then we hadn't talked in months. and start telling me the story about the Hootie and the Blowfish song and asked me if I remember that night. And I had no idea. And so then we laughed and she asked what I was doing for the weekend. And I said, well, actually, a friend of mine who is in New Jersey that I haven't talked to in a long time called me or sent me a Facebook message and asked me if I would be interested. She was going to be in Myrtle Beach and she knew I was in South Carolina. And if I was going to be interested in a women's retreat that she was conducting. And I had no idea what she was talking about, but she said the word positivity and women in the same sentence. And I thought, I am so miserable and so due for something. Okay. Like literally I couldn't say no. And I was dirt broke. Like we were broke. I was married. My husband wasn't working. I have 3 boys and I could not say no. And so I jumped on, she could take PayPal is how you would pay her. And I jumped on and applied for a PayPal credit card and got approved immediately and immediately sent her a payment and didn't have any idea what I was getting myself into. I just knew that the universe, something, my gut instinct was telling me I had to do this. So when Lori called and we were talking about what we were doing, she was like, well, I think I'm going to go to the beach. Some author, remember that you like, that you were thinking about maybe you'd go get a book signed or something. Yeah. And I said, well, do you want to go with me? And she said, yeah, sure. And I messaged my friend and said, you got a spot for somebody else? And she said, yes. And so we took our happy behinds to Myrtle Beach, not knowing what we were getting into.
And just to clarify, you really sold it to me too, because you were like, I don't know what it is, but it's some kind of positivity, something. So surely it'll be all right. It's some kind of positivity, something. And so we had that was our base of our knowledge of what we were getting into, but we were both so completely miserable and wanting some kind of human connection and positive something that we both were like, yes, please sign us up.
And we just grabbed a hold of it. And it was literally, we were in a house with 8-10 other women from all over. And they were all about the same place we were, which was amazing to me to really have real conversations with people who were not living their best lives and not pretending to, and to have real conversations about our struggles and how rock bottom a lot of us were. And that weekend was transformational. It was insane, the amount that we got out of it, the connections and friendships we still have to this day. And to see this group of women all in that one place and now where everybody is and what everybody's doing is amazing to me.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And it's, I can see it so clearly in my mind, looking around the room, and all of us look different. And it's not about anything physical necessarily. It's more like when you do the inner work and you start healing some of that pain and struggle, over time, you just look different. It looks like you're glowing from the inside out versus, I just remember us all looking as miserable as we felt.
It's like you looked and everybody was gray, like the whole group. And by the end of the weekend, it's like we pinkened up some. But now when I look at this group, we Zoom because we're not local. They're not local to us, but it's amazing. Like, you're right. I think we all glow. And please know that this was not a one-day event. This was not a weekend event. Like, this has been 6 years. This September will be 6 years of daily work. But we started with the little things.
And I'd say if you go with that metaphor of a light within, it was like the spark we needed. Like, it wasn't the full-on gasoline on the fire, but it was the spark where our lights had dimmed to the point where we just needed a little something to give us hope and to go, oh, I can do this. There are other people that are struggling like me. Even Tanya and I, we rode together and everything, but we didn't talk about our own struggles with each other until we were in the space where it was safe to do so. And it just busted us wide open. I mean, I remember crying that weekend, and I am not a crier, had taught myself to cut my emotions off basically and not feel things. And I remember it was from a Friday through a Sunday. And I remember on that Sunday, or it might have been that Saturday, looking at Tanya and going, I can't believe I just cried in front of a bunch of women I don't know. That to me was it wasn't a good thing. Like, I wasn't saying it as a good thing because that's where I was at the time. I didn't realize that our emotions is just energy in motion. It's just, you have to go through that to heal. And I was not allowing myself to heal at that time.
And I was exactly the same, but from a different angle. So I had so much responsibility of being the sole breadwinner, and a bad marriage that was not filling my cup and that was draining me dry, and three boys. At the time, they were, I don't know, maybe 15, no, not even 13, 14, and 7 or 8. And it was hard, and it was literally all I could do to wake up in the morning and make all the things that had to happen through the day and do my job and go to sleep at night. And so there was no time for me. At least I thought, right? I mean, and that's what we all think, as busy as we are. We all think that. And what we've learned is, if we don't stop and fill up our own cup, we are poor. You can't pour from an empty cup. And I'd always heard that. And I don't think I quite understood, because I did it in that I don't have time. And I didn't make, what I was saying is, I'm not going to make time because I don't love myself enough to make the time. And so slowly we started doing, it started off being really small, saying gratitude in the morning, first thing, learning, remember the reset that we learned that we did in the shower. We started doing the shower, and in 2 seconds, you're already in the shower anyway. So use that time for your benefit. I used to sit in the shower and replay conversations that had never really happened in a negative way. And he said, she said in my mind. I just stopped doing that and started using that time to my advantage and in a positive way.
Yeah, I think one of the big keys for us that really helped both of us was almost taking an inventory of the different areas of your life. And so that's everything from your health, your business, your finances, your relationships,
your joy,
your personal joy. And for me, and I think Tanya's the same, if you scored on a 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, absolutely, that it could be, we didn't hit over 5 on any of those. And
I don't think I hit over 4.
For me, for personal joy, when I was really honest with myself, and I wrote the number 2 out of 10 in personal joy. And I've had a promotion at work. I had a great husband. I have a family that loves and supports me. Like, I had all these blessings around me, and I just couldn't recognize them, see them, be grateful for them, because I was so in a negative mind space of what was going wrong versus what was actually right in my life.
Absolutely. And I think that was the wake up call. And so when we do some trainings and things like that, and that's one of the first things we start with folks, is we do that wheel of life, and where are you, and rating those areas. And absolutely, I was not above, I would say, a 3 or 4 on anything. And when I looked back at that now, and we take it about every 6 months, and we kind of usually do it together. There's nothing for me that's below a 6 or a 7 now. Most everything's about a 7 or 8. On occasion, it's a balancing act too. So there's sometimes things will be an 8 or a 9, but other areas are a 6 or 7. And then the next time I do it, it's a little different, because it is balance, and everything's not going to be a 10. Everything's not going to be an 8 or 9. And that's okay. And that's life. Those things happen. Life happens. It's just how we think about them, and the perspective and the spin we put on them. And that's where flipping that switch to not thinking in the negative, but always trying to find the positive. And it is not an overnight. It's slow go, but it also is creating a habit. Habits don't happen overnight, good ones or bad ones. And I think that's where we started, and that's where we are now, is those habits after 5 and 6 years have really taken us from where we were to where we are now. And I'll tell you, my life is not perfect. I still have a lot of things that could be better. I still have 3 crazy children, and I'm single now. And so there's that. So there's, all of those things come with challenges, but the way I view those challenges now it's just totally different.
So let's talk through some of the daily practices. When we left that retreat those years ago, you touched on gratitude, being very grateful, even writing down things you're grateful for in an intentional way every day, journaling, trying to meditate. And Tanya and I started with maybe 3 minutes, was all we were able to do back then, but the 3 minutes really helps. There's apps, there's, free stuff out there that you can do guided meditations. And we started there with the free stuff that was available that we could do sitting in the car before you walked into the office.
Absolutely.
And, buy a little journal and start. That's where both of us started.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say, I think for me, when we left the retreat, a couple of things that we had done at the retreat was we had written affirmations. So we had said, okay, on note cards, on little note cards, and I probably wrote 6 or 7. And so an affirmation, if you don't know, is something you'd like to kind of happen in the past or the future that you're grateful for now, as if it's already happened. So I'm just so happy and grateful that my life is full of joy and peace. I'm so happy and grateful that money flows easily and freely to me. So it's being grateful now for things that you won't need for your future. And so we wrote 5 or 6 of those on note cards, and I kept them in my car for at least 3 years. And when I got in the car, I would read those note cards before I cranked it up. And when I got out of the car, usually in the mornings at work, I would get out and read them before I stuck them back in my car. And I kept those things and reread them and read them for years. And that was that small, literally that small. And even with the meditation, again, we started with 3 minutes. We've got a friend I know that maybe she might be a need to be a guest. She has created something called a 3x3. And it's where I started with my attention span. My head wouldn't stop. I was reeling with to-do list, negativity, all the things in our lives. And so 3 minutes was all I could handle, but it's how I got started. And it took me, I'd say 2 years to get past 3 minutes. And it's okay. It may take you there. Some people may totally be able to do 10 minutes off the get-go. Some people might not be able to handle 3. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah. And I think for me, a big one was once we sort of scored each area of our life, and then the question was posed, what would you have to do to make it a 10? And I had never thought about that. And we know how our mind works, right? So when you plant seeds like that, your mind's looking for a solution. That's the way our brains are wired. And so just planting that seed of a prompting question like that to me, I was like, well, what would it look like if I had a 10 in health and a 10 in joy, and then actually envisioning a perfect day in your life? And, I had gotten to such a point where, every day was just eat, sleep, work, repeat. Basically, it felt that way, that I had never taken the time to just think about, what do I want? And that simple thing really helped me.
And what are we working for? That was another question that was posed to us. And it was, why are you working this hard? What's your why? And I kind of looked back and I thought, okay, my why is to feed my children. My why is to, and I had all these, really good answers. But if I sat back and really thought about it, really and truly what I wanted, my why was to be joyful. My why was to enjoy the company of those children. My why was, so all the things I'm doing, once I kind of figured out my why, it made me stop doing things out of
obligation,
sacrifice.
Yep.
And start doing them from a heart-centered place. And when you start doing things from a heart-centered place, it again is life-changing. The energy shift. You're doing the same thing, right? You're doing the same task. You're getting up at the same time every morning. You're cycling 3 children to everything that they're into, but you're doing it from not sacrifice, but from love and from a heart-centered place. And the energy change and what I received from it. I wasn't receiving anything before except being really angry that I was the only person having to take care of these boys.
Yeah. Resentful, but I'd say Beth was pretty resentful.
Yeah.
Resentful back then, just for different reasons, but just resented having to do things.
Absolutely.
So that was sort of the beginning for us, was the retreat, but then we've continued to invest in ourselves, and it has been such a fun journey. And I'm so glad that Tanya and I have been on it together, because you got somebody to bounce ideas off of and to help you pull yourself up when you do stumble backwards sometimes. And so the other things we've done is we've gone to trainings, we've gotten certified in different trainings and things like that. We've written a book. Gosh, did you know 5 years ago we would be authors?
Not even
best-selling authors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not even on the radar. And we continue, like, we've started a kind of a company together. We are training and teaching other people how to really change their mindset and change their life. It's been a journey, which is super exciting, and the best is yet to come. I mean, you think about it. We've got a Facebook group that we really and truly started one day out of a conversation of, we've got a bunch of negative crap in our Facebook feed. Why don't we start a group that has some positivity to it? And we just invited the universe to give us some love in the last year. And we have gone from 4,000 to almost 13,000 members.
Yeah. In like months.
Yes. And people daily reach out to us to say how much they enjoy this group because it's all positive. And so we're still on the journey. We're still making it happen. And all the good things that just kind of fall in our lap now is amazing.
Yeah. And I'd say when we first started our journey, what was really helpful to us was to have people that were like maybe 3 steps ahead of us on their journey to sort of share with us tools and tips and things they were reading, podcasts they were listening to, just all kind of different experiences. And so that's what we're hoping to be for other people now, because it helped us so much to go, okay, now what training did you go to and what happened there? And now what book did you say you were reading this month? So
we actually we grabbed 3 or 4 of the ladies and they were all from the same area, Baltimore area. So we're in South Carolina. Let's just get that straight. So we just didn't have access or exposure to a lot of the same things they did. We didn't know anybody doing these things. And so we made them get on a call with us about every 2 weeks. And we picked their brain. What have you read? What podcast are you listening to? What training have you gone to? Can you send me your notes? Like over and over and over. Basically made them give us all their stuff, all their information. Like we were pulling it from them. Please tell us more. But we were ready. We were seeking it out, and every little bit we used. It's like you go to something for work, and you come back and you're all fired up, and then in 2 or 3 weeks it just kind of goes away. Well, we didn't let that. Listen, our pilot lights were low. We started turning them up and fanning the flames, and we continued to fan the flames. We were not letting that go back out because it was feeling too good.
Yeah. And sort of like you said earlier, it really was daily. So daily practices, and like you'd get in a routine of doing some things like journaling and meditating and things at a certain time during the day. And then it's like, okay, here's another tool. Let me add this to the mix and see how I like this. And so we've just continued to do that year upon year, month upon month, day upon day. And it's just been so much fun to some things don't stick, of course. Right. But there's been a lot that has, and it just continues to fill your own bucket. Like you were saying, right. You can't pour from an empty vessel. And so we've continued to stay open. I think one of the big things out that the retreat that was successful for us is that we went into it going, we don't know what we're getting ourselves into, but we're open to whatever may come. And we truly were. We didn't know what they were talking about. It sounded like they were speaking a foreign language, but we really stayed open. We stayed open. We said, okay, we can do this. We can do this. We'll stay open. And we did. And we've continued to do that. And so if you are where we used to be, or anything that we've said resonates, just remember to stay open to things that maybe seem a little out there. Yes. Because we're going to share all the things we've tried, and we will try anything because
we really we have tried.
Who knows what'll work for you?
Mm-hmm. Well, and at this retreat, they work out oils and crystals and cards and visualization. And I didn't know what an intention was or an affirmation. We were sitting there looking around, and most of them at least knew that. It was all Greek to us, but we were so thirsty, and it was like drinking from a fire hose, and we were so ready. We were like, whatever, bring it on. And then, like Lori said, we took the bits and pieces and we created our own recipe. And we're perfecting that recipe every day. I still try sometimes to meditate in the afternoons, and that doesn't work for me right now. And mornings are my best times. I journal every single day. It used to be in the Starbucks parking lot for 45 minutes. And with COVID, now it's on my couch or on my back porch. But I'm changing daily practices and changing it up just to keep it flowing and see what works. And what we are here to do is share with you all the little things, all those bits and pieces, all the things we've tried, all the mentors that we have had in our lives. We're going to try to bring those guys to the table for you so you can learn from as well. Some will resonate, some will not, just like some did and didn't for us. There's a couple of folks that I'd love to share that maybe their methods don't work for me, but I'm one person and I've got friends that they absolutely work for. So we really just want to bring some tools that for the folks who are listening to us, you're here for a reason.
We absolutely believe that. So you would not be listening if you weren't supposed to be. Like
Absolutely.
The universe brings us the right people. We believe that wholeheartedly. And so if you're here listening to this and feeling anything, any sort of way out of it, like, what are these girls talking about? You're here for a reason. And so just be open, and we'll take you on the journey with us and pull you right along with us.
Absolutely.
Because it's a fun time.
Yes, let us be your guides. That's what we're here for. Somebody else were our guides, and so now it's our turn to pay it forward. And that's really what this is about, is letting us help navigate for you the waters that we've already traveled. Right? Don't reinvent the wheel. Let us show you what's worked for us, and then just be open to try the things that we talk about.